and half the world's terrorist organizations that exist in the Afghan-Pakistani region still intend and have the capability to come roaring back in the wake of a Taliban takeover, and still intend to attack the United States and to attack the West. So, President Biden has turned his back on the Afghans, pulled out all support. And I think we're going to see a return of terrorist attacks, either inspired or otherwise, here in the United States. And my fear is that this is a repeat of exactly what Obama did in Iraq when he pulled everyone out too soon. It led to the rise of ISIS, a caliphate the size of Indiana, massacres across the Middle East, hostages, and attacks in Europe and in the U.S. And we had to go back again and shed more blood and treasure rather than keeping a small force. That's what we should have done here in Afghanistan, and I'm afraid this is going to happen all over again.
How about the strategic implications? Because the U.S. is now giving up all of its key bases, like Bagram and others. What impact does that have?
Well, that's an important point. Bagram Air Base that the administration just closed was our only base in the region. We have no other agreements that I know of. I'm hoping to hear one today from, you have Russia, China, Iran, Pakistan, and client countries of Russia. You have nothing. In Iraq, at least we had the Gulf states, Israel, Kurdistan, and other places to go back into. In Afghanistan, we don't have that. So when our soldiers, our special forces, my fellow Green Berets have to go back again, they're going to have no bases, and our local allies are being decimated as we speak.
And let's come to the moral implications as well. Let's have a look at a New York Post headline from the other day. It said, "The last thing we need is a rushed, chaotic Afghanistan pullout. And as a consequence of a rushed, chaotic Afghanistan pullout, we leave allies in the lurch."
No, that's absolutely right. Everyone who worked with us the last 20 years, who fought and stood with us against al-Qaeda, the Taliban, and extremism, has a bullseye on their back right now. I had an interpreter that was beheaded because he was found with American documentation. But it's broader than just the interpreters. I do think you're going to see an announcement today from President Biden on that, because the outcry has been overwhelming from Republican, Democrat, veterans groups, and others. But it's more than that. It's female politicians, it's judges, it's journalists, it's those who took a stand for freedom and democracy against extremism that the Taliban are going after. And they don't just go after them, they go after entire families.
Very quickly,
that's who we have to help. I want to see an evacuation announced today by President Biden. Time has run out.
And Jem Psaki saying that there were some plans in place to get them out by the end of August. But very quickly, you mentioned all the negatives, but also 20 years of war with a leadership which is corrupt, and an army that has not taken to training terribly well, in a country that is divided. What more could have been done in the country? Trillions of dollars has been spent there. So at the same time, what else could have been done?
Right. Well, look, I wrote a whole book on it, on the mistakes that we made and things we could have done better. But it's an easy soundbite to say, just bring the troops home. The terrorism problem still exists, and it will follow us home. We have to stay on offense. We have to keep our foot on their neck. And right now, the Afghans are doing the fighting and dying. We were in a supporting role with air support, intelligence, logistics. We haven't had a casualty there, and we barely had any in 2 years. So it's that supporting effort that the Afghans still need. They're willing to go out and fight the Taliban and al-Qaeda for their country and for the world. But yanking out all the support with no plan and no backup is irresponsible. It's dangerous. And I think it's going to cause attacks on the homeland again. That's what I fear the most.
Thank you very much for joining us today.